Hey guys, Liam here. Let's talk a little bit about classified information and the whole Trump thing and all this stuff going on with documents and all of that. Like I mentioned, I think I mentioned in the last video on the topic, it's like, every president takes documents home with them when they leave the White House. Some more than others. I think Barry took something like, I don't know, 30 million of them or so. And all these presidents take documents home. Also, all the presidents have what they call a SCIF. A SCIF stands for um, um, Special Compartmentalized Information Facility. What SCI is it's a classification of information that it falls in the classified information category. When you go in the military, you get a clearance. It's usually something like you'll get a secret SCI or top secret SCI clearance or whatever. I happen to have had my clearance upgraded when I was in the Air Force. At one point, I was invited to apply, which basically meant you put your paperwork in, and we're going to offer you the job. And if you accept it, great. If not, that's up to you too. But it's like it was one of those jobs with the White House Communications Agency. That was one of those jobs where you couldn't just apply for. You had to be invited to apply. For whatever reason, I got invited to apply. Found out later that they had upgraded my secret SCI clearance to a top secret SCI SAP clearance. But that said, just because I had a top secret SCI SAP clearance, SAP stands for Special Access Protocol. Anyway, just because I had that clearance didn't mean I could just go out and read whatever classified information I wanted to. It's like, okay, I got a top secret clearance, so let me read that top secret document. That's not the way it works. The way access to classified information also has another criteria called need to know. So it doesn't really matter what your security clearance is. If you don't have a need to know that information, then you're not supposed to have access to that classified document. Now, when it comes to the President of the United States, he is the ultimate classification authority, and he's granted that because classification of documents falls in the powers of the executive branch. And Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution says the executive power shall be vested in a President of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and together with the Vice President chosen for the same term be elected as follows. It goes in how the President gets elected. But he is the executive, so he runs the executive branch. So any executive powers that he decides to delegate to others is fine, but that means that he basically makes the rules when it comes to classification of documents, or the declassification of documents. So the very act of the president taking a classified document and handing it to an individual who might not have otherwise been authorized to read that document, then by that action he has just declassified that document, because he is the ultimate classification authority. So all of this talk that they're talking about with Trump about trying to get him for the Espionage Act and trying to get him for this and that. Well, first of all, the Espionage Act doesn't apply to the president. Never has, never will. And all this talk about what Trump says he declassified the documents, but he didn't go through the proper procedure. Well, whatever procedure the president goes through is the proper procedure, because he is the president. He is the ultimate classification authority. So by his own action, however he does it, it is the procedure. the people who ought to be charged with violation of the Espionage Act are probably those FBI agents who read classified documents that they didn't have a need to know to read. I doubt all of those agents that looked at those documents were involved in situations that pertaining to the information contained in those documents, and thus had no need to know. So if you access classified information without the need to know, then you violated the Espionage Act. So I mean, if anybody wants to prosecute anybody under the Espionage Act, maybe you ought to prosecute those FBI agents or anybody else in the Justice Department, or anybody else for that matter, who read those documents without the possible or without the appropriate need to know. But when it comes to the former president, he has the need to know. He is the president, and he can use whatever process he wants to classify or declassify documents. It's literally the wave of the hand, or that he can do that because that's a function of the executive branch of government. So all this talk about them trying to indict him on different things is really just kind of stupid. But what it's all about is they're trying to disqualify him from running for president, which he can. That even if he were to be convicted of everything they've ever accused him of, it still wouldn't disqualify him from running for president, because there's a little document called the Constitution of the United States of America that trumps all laws. No pun intended on the use of the word Trump, but this document is superior to all of the laws. As a matter of fact, that's why the Supreme Court exists, is to determine whether or not the laws that are passed comport with or comply with this document. So this is the supreme document, and then this document outlines what it takes, what the qualifications are to be the president of the United States. So if it says no person except a natural born citizen, or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of the Constitution. That doesn't really apply anymore because the Constitution was adopted in the 1700s. So, and it says, shall be eligible to the office of president. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who have not attained the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. So the only three criteria to run for president is you got to be a natural born citizen, you got to be at least 35 years old, and you have to have lived in the United States for 14 years. Those are the only three criteria. It doesn't matter what. You could be a convicted murderer. You could be a convicted felon. It doesn't or any other myriad of laws. You could have done jail time. You could have done whatever, but you're still qualified to run for president because this document outlines who can run for president, and those are the only three criteria. So all this stuff going on around the former president, all they're trying to do is they're trying to smear him or slander him or whatever you want to call it. They're trying to make voters think the former president has done something wrong, when in fact he has not. Matter of fact, let's talk a little bit. I've been trying to refer to him in general terms, but let's talk about Trump for just a minute. They have been after this man for the last 6 years. So Trump is either the best criminal on the face of the earth, or he's clean. They haven't been able to pin anything on him. Okay, this is a man who has spent the majority of his life building buildings in New York City, where lots of stuff is run by the organized crime and all these gangsters and all this stuff, and yet nobody has ever been able to pin him for bribery or anything. I mean, so he's either the best guy in the world at hiding it, or he must be clean. So give it a break, folks. You're not going to get him on any illegal stuff, particularly anything that happened while he was president of the United States. So all they're trying to do is smear him in the press and smear him in the minds of potential voters so that people won't vote for him. So that's what this is all about. This is not. They don't give a shit about the sanctity or the security of government-owned documents. They're not. That's not what's going on here. So that's kind of all I have to say about that. Just, let's learn a lot. And another thing, one other thing I want to, before all these people popping up on TV, acting like they know about how classified information should be handled and all this stuff. 99% of those people don't know what the hell they're talking about. Most of them have probably never held a security clearance. Most of them have probably never handled classified information if they had a security clearance. It's like, so there's a bunch of people that are talking about stuff that they really don't know anything about. It's like, who was it? Marcus Aurelius said one time, I think. It was Marcus Aurelius. It's like the opinion that, 10,000 men is of no value if they don't know anything about the topic that they're discussing. So, most of the people talking about classified information never been in a situation where they've had to deal with classified information. They're just going on what they want to be true or saying what they want to be true. So those of us who have had to handle classified information or been exposed to it or whatever, been subject to those rules, kind of understand how the information is supposed to be handled and who should not have access to it. And the bottom line is, the President of the United States can have access to any damn thing he wants. He's the President of the United States. Another thing I think is kind of funny is they're talking about there may be the nuclear codes might have been in those some of those documents. Does anybody with a functioning brain really think that the damn nuclear codes are written on a scrap of paper or even typewritten on a piece of paper and put in a fucking folder like that? That's not how it works. The president doesn't carry the damn nuclear codes around on a 3x5 card in his jacket pocket. As a matter of fact, the president don't even carry them at all. There's a military attaché there with him at all times that carries this thing called, in a briefcase, called the football. That's where the nuclear codes are. That's how a nuclear weapon gets launched, is using the football. It's all done electronically. There's no damn document laying around somewhere in 2022 that's got nuclear codes written on it. Come on, people. Apply some common sense. This is running long, so I'm gonna shut it down. But think about it. What you're being told is all a bunch of bullshit by people who don't know what they're talking about. Consider the source. Think about what they're trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish. They're trying to disqualify the man from running for president because they're terrified of him. They know that they cannot beat him. Well, one more on that topic. The midterm elections are coming up. This is one of those times where I'm going to tell you to vote straight, or ask you to vote straight Republican. Normally I wouldn't do that. I vote for the person, not the party. But I've been thinking about this, and I've decided that the very worst possible Republican, somebody like Mitch McConnell or somebody like, Kevin McCarthy or Lindsey Graham or any of those worthless politicians that are Republicans, even those guys are better for our country than the best Democrat. So vote straight Republican coming this as far as the national elections are concerned, because the worst of the Republicans is still better for our country than the best of the Democrats. So take care. Thanks for watching the videos. I'll talk with you soon. Later.